we need that drama in the bottom end. Okay, so yeah, play a little bit with what you heard Paul doing. But the key, I would say, start with getting this tilt first, because if we add a tongue root to, right, and then you can get a lot of squawkage right at that break. So cry first, then add a little bit of what Paul was doing. The Kermit the Frog, or I call it growly cat, right? And what happens with that growly cat really helps us get that fullness in the bottom. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I use it a lot on the top too. So it's a fun little exercise.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful work. Yeah. I would love to hear you sing. I've been having so much fun with Lauren's voice. Lauren, can I brag about you? Please?
I want to tell you the truth. If you had asked me how I wanted to sound, I would have said I want to sound like Lauren.
See, there you go. Lauren is, she just took her Estill figure proficiency exam. So she went through all this training and has been practicing them. And she's been teaching some of my classes. And it's been fun getting to know her over the last year or so. But her sound has gone from being like unstable and wobbly to now she's doing like pop songs, and she has this clarity and the richness that she's getting in your, like the handle that you were working on was so beautiful. So it just warms my heart. Warms my heart. You have to listen to her sing. You have to hear what she's been doing. And you know, when I met Jo and she was 70, and she said she started her research at 45. That just gave me so much hope. Like that was when she started, you know, and I knew her up until she passed, and she was just a dear friend. And she sang her up until almost, you know, until she was just very, very ill. And it was so beautiful to hear her sing. It was just glorious.
It's so encouraging to me because I decided at 60 to start singing again after years, decades of not singing.
I love it.
And so it's been about 10 years now, but this is encouraging.
Good, good. Yeah, all of us can sing. We're meant to. So, okay, Irina, I'm going to have you pass it off to the next person.
I think Nelson is the next brave singer.
Okay, so I was not really aware of what you had to offer, and so the thing I was thinking I could improve on is just when I practice by myself next to the piano, I start on one note and 3 pages later I'm already flat. So going flat was the thing that I wanted to fix, but I think if it's a matter of voice quality, maybe Irina has a direction she'd like me to go and can suggest instead.
We can talk about it. Why don't you sing? Because pitch has to do with length, tension, and mass. And so typically when there are problems with pitch, one of those predictors is falling out of place. So it's a loss of position, especially because it's not your ear, because you can hear yourself going flat.
I think if I could hear myself going flat, I could fix it. I thought it was my ear, but we'll see.
I think it has more to do with the position. So it's probably one of those 3, length, tension, or mass. So can you sing a little bit for me? And let's hear what the problem is.
Okay, so it's the same one that Paul was saying. It's just the singing. It's just the bass line instead of the tenor line.
Great, let's hear it.
I need a starting pitch.
Can somebody give him an E flat? I don't have.
Okay, then I'll do it on my recorder.
Thank you. I sat close to my monitor rather than at my piano. My piano's back over there.
That's okay.
So, okay.
A через дорогу узарге широкой, так же одиноко Дуб стоит высокий, так же одиноко дуб стоит высокий.
Okay. So let's start with playing a little bit with your voice. Okay. I would like you to do the kitty cat thing. Oh, just do that for a minute.
Oh,
And just like, and you're not making necessarily the cat sound. It's as like you're saying, oh, oh, beautiful. Notice when you do that, there's a little opening, okay, that takes place as well. So I hear a little rasp in your voice. So let me just address that as well, if you don't mind. A little bit of graveliness in your speaking. And it's what we call a little bit of constriction. You can hear it coming into my sound. So my guess is, do you fatigue a little bit? Does your voice get tired through rehearsal?
I don't notice that much.
Okay, because there may be some fatigue playing into that. We call this the lift to laugh maneuver. Inside the larynx are two sets of vocal folds. So if I were to open up my larynx, here's one larynx, open it up, air comes through the through the trachea and hits the vocal folds here, indicated by blue. They are not blue. They're actually kind of white. At least we hope they're white. Okay, if they're healthy. And then just above them, indicated by the red line, is what we call the false vocal folds. And that's a muscular set of folds that closes in response to effort or fatigue. And when they begin to close, you'll hear a little bit more of this going on, like a strain. Like if you were to lift yourself, everybody at home, reach under your chair. And on the count of 3, try to lift yourself. Okay, so you try this too, Nelson. 1, 2, 3. Okay. You'll notice you probably all held your breath on the count of 3. And I didn't tell you to hold your breath. I just had you use some effort in the body. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what's closing are your vocal folds as well as your false vocal folds, the second layer of vocal folds above that. If they begin to close in response to effort while we're singing, and they won't close that much, right? Like you can still breathe. But if they close a little bit, we get back pressure on the true folds and we get a little bit more of a raspier tone like this. Or if they're slightly closing as we speak, we get this overtone. That's kind of the makings of a little bit of an unhealthy thing. Now, here's the fun, wonderful tidbit. If we laugh or we anticipate a laugh, the false vocal folds retract. They open, they pull wide. Can you think of a time where it would have been inappropriate to laugh, but oh, you wish you could have? I mean, like maybe a time like at work, like when the boss walked in and their fly was down, and it would have been so inappropriate to say it. Or for me, sitting through long services at church. The last time I did a Christmas service, we were doing the quiet Christmas silent night mass, and somebody in the front row farted really, really, really loud. And me and the violinist, we couldn't, we were like junior hires, we could not hold it together, and we're trying not to laugh. And I could sort of pivot away from the congregation with my back, So it's that sense of like, you're not following through with it, but you really feel an opening, right? Go back to the lift. That's really closed. Go to the laugh. It's really open. Good. Can you maintain that opening and that wide feeling as you sing? Just sing the first line for me, please. Laugh, laugh, laugh.
Just that much?
Yeah. Do you hear how much more clarity you have? Can you speak that way as well, Nelson? Give it a try.
I can
Just talk
try.
to me.
Am I speaking that way now? I'm not
Your
sure.
voice is a lot clearer. Yeah. So for me, I had a little bit of constriction in my voice all the time speaking. I was fatiguing all the time. As soon as I got more control over retraction, I had so much more stamina. This is way back in the day. I was teaching elementary school music. I had 700 elementary school singers every week. And then I was singing in a rock band we had a 4-hour set at night. So elementary school a day, 4-hour set at night. My voice was fatigued to the hilt. And I was just running into chronic fatigue. And I had a little bit of constriction in my speaking. So I started retracting, right, when I spoke. Next thing I knew, I had stamina like crazy. So now, I don't know, I sing 10, 12 hours a day. And that's just what I do. The retraction really brings that stamina, but it's also clearer. Okay. So let's go back to the flatting issue. Okay. And I'm not hearing a lot of flatting going on with your voice. Let's do it again. Irina, are you hearing the flatting?
Should I do both?
He actually ended on a high pitch.
Yeah, actually, I was checking right before this class to see how I did, and I actually was going sharp too. But it's still a problem of staying in pitch one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Nelson, when you're singing right now, you don't need to do the staggered breath because you are soloist. Just take your breath every 4 measures.
Okay,
Have a
fine.
breathe.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have you sing one more time. And then I will just tell you the culprits for pitch. Okay. The culprit for sharping tends to be pushing too much air, right? And we tend to do that when we have a little bit of adrenaline going, like you're probably right now, right? And so we take a deeper breath, move more air. And what happens is the larynx rises up on that cushion of air and it goes slightly above in pitch. Okay, so the biggest pitch problem for sharping, the culprit for that will be a little bit too much air. So we can flex. When I had you lifting and laughing, right, you got a little bit more anchoring. We call it torso anchoring the body. And that flexing throughout the body helps monitor how much air is coming out. Okay, so we can reduce that air. So the big culprit for sharping is just air. The culprits for flatting are as follows. How's that? The tongue going low. If you open wide and say ah and let the back of the tongue fall into the throat, oh, that pitch 9 out of 10 times is going to go flat. If we let the tongue fall into the back of the throat. Why? Because the tongue is connected to the larynx. So the tongue comes up here from the larynx. If it sits on the larynx, pushes the larynx, right? If it falls into the throat, pushes the larynx down into the throat. And the first thing that helps create pitch is the length of the vocal tract. A longer vocal tract creates a lower pitch. So if we're shoving the larynx into the throat, it's going to push the pitch a little bit low. Okay. Second thing that it's a culprit for flatting is going a little bit too thick on the bottom, right? Because it sets a little bit of fatigue in. So we're like, like really trying to drive that hard. The kitty cats solve that. Okay. Kitty cats actually solve both of them because notice what happens when you do that whimper. The larynx comes up. Notice when you do the whimper, where do the blades of your tongue hit your teeth? So what's your tongue doing inside your mouth when you whimper? Tends to go up along the sides. Okay. So would you start each note with a Y? That's a phonetic version of the tongue being up against the top teeth, right? Everybody say yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
You feel how it hits?
Yeah.
Okay, pretend I was a meanie and I just stuck super glue on those top teeth. Good. And now you're going to laugh your way through it. Take it away.
With the syllables or just yeah?
Just yeah. Yeah, 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 whatever the vowel is, right? But oh, by the way, when you go from the Y to the vowel, don't let your tongue pull away from your top molars.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's the pulse note. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Keep laughing at me, Nelson.
What?
Keep laughing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
On those low notes, can you laugh harder? Yeah, 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 yeah. You're going to work pretty hard with those muscles.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Nice. So notice what the laugh did to your low notes. It cleared everything up.
Sorry, I was
That Y can become an invisible Y. So it's just a position that the tongue stays in. For me, with a very large larynx singing high, I have to keep my tongue pretty much glued to my top teeth about 98% of the time. Okay. The tip of the tongue is free. Okay. But I'm not going to let my tongue fall low in the mouth and the back because it will fall low in the throat. And the next thing I know, I've lost my pitch. Okay. And then that laugh in there was so clear. That was so nice. It just cleared up all that graveliness that was in there, the retraction. Yeah. Beautiful sound. Do you have any other questions for me with this?
no.
Yeah.
Kelly, again, from the point of Russian music, we need more richer low notes. Can you just give us a lot of tips how one singer can cover like three singers?
Okay, so how do we get loud and rich in the bottom end of the range?
Yeah,
Yes?
that one singer can sing instead of three singers or five,
Mhm.
because we don't have so many basses right
Yep.
now.
I do a like a 1, 2, 3 on the bottom stuff. So I have a fairly low voice for a woman, but the bottom, if I do it in a traditional push a lot of air, this can happen a lot really easy. So if you just try to drive the bottom notes with air, it sounds hooty. It doesn't feel good. If I go to what Paul and I were talking about with the Kermit the Frog, right? Yeah, that can help. And then what I do is I like to add a little bit of twang, along with my ah, and I reduce the air. Hardly any air. Oh, I am not a bass. I'm hitting some bass notes. Oh, so I'm playing between Kermit the Frog and that feeling of twang that you feel. So there's a little flex through here and in the back of the throat. There's a couple flexes. It doesn't take much air. And in fact, the lower we go, the less air we can let pass through the vocal folds because they're vibrating so slow and they are so lax that if we push air, they blow stiff or they go to slack. And both of those are just a nightmare for trying to create a rich sound, right? Breath you down low. That doesn't work. Slack. That's really annoying to hear in a choir, right? Especially with Russian music, right? It can just sound nightmarish. So we want the rich sound. So try giving me like a that gross sound down there. Yeah, so play with both of those. So like half Kermie, half cat. Try. Mm-hmm. Love it. And you have to keep laughing because this is a silly thing you're doing anyway, right? So it stays really wide. Nice. Notice the difference in there?
I think so.
Not air.
Another thing I can ask you about is when I sing softly, I use up much more air. And I think nice to be able to not use so much air when I sing softly.
So here's the deal. I would go really soft, but then use just like a hint of Kermit the Frog, right, to keep the folds together. The reason we use air when we go soft is because the folds open. That's one strategy. There's about 6 that we could use. Okay. But I like that one. That's an easy one. And since we've already talked about it tonight, you know, so you can just use that. It means the folds stay medialized. They still keep connecting. The moment we open, it's just like a vacuum cleaner. Your air's gone.
I have a question
Okay.
about tongue position that you brought up.
Yeah.
With Kermit the Frog, you're bringing the tongue back, but you don't want the tongue, you're saying, to fall so that it impinges on the larynx. What's the difference?
The tongue is really versatile, moves all over the place. It's a bundle of 6 muscles within the mouth with wings and extensions, right? We have wings and roots. So we can take the bulk of the tongue. Let me grab my other model. One moment, please. Wasn't planning on talking about this one, but I will. Okay. So I have videos and MRIs and things like that I can show you, but this is fastest. See how big the tongue is? That's not even the half of it, okay? Because it also connects up into the skull and down into the larynx. We can take this bulk of the tongue and push it down, or the tongue root right in here. This is the tongue root, bottom end. It can just, it's so versatile. I have to get the right direction. It can go, there we go, just like this, and push back like a little finger. That's what the Kermit the Frog thing is doing. And what the tongue root is doing, it's so fun. MRI has given us, like, the backside can be just about as versatile as the front, like the tip of the tongue. The epiglottis right here is pushed back by the tongue root this way. It's not shoving the whole larynx down. It's just this little doink, 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 okay? And part of that is also the AES, the aryepiglottic muscle, is another muscle that connects from your arytenoids to the epiglottis. That was observed like in the 1840s. Garcia observed it. And that also narrows. And it makes the opening a little bit narrower, gives us a lot more ring to our sound. It's where we get operatic ring, okay? But the tongue root is so important because most of us tend to drive with too much air and then the folds are blown apart. Once they're blown apart, we have compromised tone to play with, right? So does that help you see that, like, we can go back with the tongue, or we can go and shove the whole tongue down. So it's just a little e versus it's just right here. It's just a little finger moving back.
Extreme is it goes too far when you are Kermit the Frog, and it could possibly impinge on the larynx. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, Kermit, if we use the tongue root all the way, it will shut this, because this is just a valve.
Right.
Okay. When we swallow, it's meant to do that. Okay. So it's not going to hurt you, but it'll just be harder to sing if we go too far back. Okay. But, you'll feel it. It's like it's one of the muscles we use when we swallow, but we're not going to push the larynx down. It's just a little, okay. If it sounds too Kermitized, you can cry and add a little bit of a kitten, right? That is so fun because not only does it thin the folds, but it also pulls this slightly back. So they're wonderful countering muscles, right? So if it starts to sound like, oh, that's awful, I'm starting to sound like Kermit the Frog and I can't really sing, we'll cry. Kermit's crying. And then we get the best of both worlds. But tongue is really fun and complex.
Interesting.
Yeah. Good. Do you feel like you've done good? Do we want to move on? Nelson, do you have enough fun toys to play with this week? Good.
Just don't do the things what I did, Kelly. I didn't show you. When I was teaching the piano student, and when he's playing just the scales, and I'm after you, I don't know, one of your workshops with this old frog and cat, and I just forgot to mute myself. And he also play symmetry scale, is playing, oh, na, 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 and I'm meow, meow. And then the student like that, looking at me. I said, no, I'm just practicing something, some theater production, wherever. The students just like playing, and then. So don't do that when you have a student, Nelson.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I became a little
that you're muted.
I became a little obsessed with trying these things out. And that's actually what led to doing a lot of the voiceover, because my I was pregnant when I met Joe. And so I was reading children's books. And so I just started playing with all these voices while Mr. Brown is upside down. And Mr., here we go. And just playing with all these things. And that's the next thing. And so all of that just started evolving into, what could Santa's elves do? I don't know. And all the fun little ways that you can play with your voice. And so it was
Okay,
very
so-
unexpected.
We have Susan Lambert and Susan, our soprano. And she will sing Moscow Nights, the opening from measure 5 up to, just the first verse. And they say, you have Moscow Night, right?
I do.
Yeah. So now, Susan, you, please.
I just found out this morning that I was doing this, so I guess that's actually advantageous 'cause I didn't have enough time to get nervous about it. But-
Yeah.
Yeah, but I managed to do it in the last 12 hours. So,
Susan, are you related to a Joe Ellen by any chance?
Joe Ellen Lambert.
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
if it's Joe Ellen. Mm-mm.
Okay. One of my best friends. You got a great last name. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's Lambert the sheepish lion. Remember that old cartoon strip?
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, I'm having flashbacks. Yeah. All right, Susan, go ahead and sing for me, all right? And you sing second soprano, is that correct?
First soprano.
First soprano, okay.
Part is not going to be that high. The highest note I think is a D, but I am a first soprano. I am trying to rid myself, or not rid myself of, but control a vibrato. I had 2 lessons with Lauren. We're speaking so highly of Lauren. I'm going to do the same. I had 2 lessons with her specifically to help me with the vibrato, and she helped me a great deal. She really, but it's still one of those things that I feel like I'm struggling with, and I would like to have better control. So I can turn it on when I want it, but turn it off when I don't want it.
Okay. Let's hear you. And then I'm probably going to have you turn it on and maybe turn it up too much, but let's listen to what you do, okay?
Can I get I don't have a piano. Thank you. Если саду даже шураги, звёдje замерло до утра, если б знали вы, как мне дороги подмосковные вечера.
Wow. That was beautiful. Okay. Now, I heard your vibrato. Show me the vibrato that you really hate. Okay?
Если саду даже шураги, звёдje замерло до утра. I'm exaggerating it.
I get it.
Okay. More.
No, that's good. That's good. Okay, so vibrato is a variation in pitch. It is actually learned. Okay, it is not necessarily inherent in the tone. However, if we learn it as teenagers, as by relaxing, okay, does that make sense? We can relax and get some vibrato as a teen, and it might be just enough. The trouble is, my muscles aren't what they were as a teenager. Everything shakes. You know what I mean? Like just waving. It's like, does this all have to, you know what I mean? Everything is so much more loose. So if you are still using the strategy of relaxation with all the muscles around the voice, it's probably going to shake too wide. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So because the vocal folds have to close several hundred times per second. A440, which is not that high, is closing 440 times every second. That's a lot of muscular activity, and that's going to cause a lot of shaking if everything around it is relaxed. So let's do a little bit of stabilization of these other muscles, okay? So I'm going to walk you through a couple of muscles that can help. I'd like you to start off, and everybody else can try this, okay? Put your finger to your forehead and just create a little resistance between your head and your forehead. Make sure you're not holding your breath because we don't want happening as a result. We don't want the constriction, right? So just create a little bit of that. Do you feel your sternocleidomastoids engaging? Right? Your head turning muscles, a little bit of the muscles of the back of the neck, right? All of that's in there. It's all right. Now, just with that, would you sing the line for me and really just focus on maintaining pressure here and the neck? Go ahead.
Jeśli si sadiu daje shurahi, zwiedzie zamerluda utra, jeśli, oops, jeśli wznali как недороги подмосковные вечера. I kept forgetting to focus my attention on my.
Yeah. So just find one line for me. Do the very last line so you don't have to change the pages
Okay.
and really keep that going. Just one line.
Подмосковные вечера.
Good. Let's get your head over your body first because it's kind of like this.
Okay.
And it'll be a little bit more effective if we're aligned.
Okay.
Forehead. And just sing a cappella looking at the screen. If you don't get the words right, I don't speak Russian. I won't know.
So I'm sorry, what do you want me to do?
Just sing it a cappella, but really focus in.
On my hand.
And the muscles that we are flexing right now, it's as if you are pulling your ear to your shoulder. That's where that large muscle is. Okay.
So you're talking
And
about
you can even push from the back of the head or forward. Forward or backward does the same thing because it's the head turning muscles, the neck stabilization muscles. It'll feel like you're pulling your ear to your shoulder. Hold it and just sing your last line. Muscles only. Go.
Подмосковные вечера.
Nice. So that was from the outside. We stabilized some of these larger muscles on the outside. Now let's stabilize some of the interior muscles that function along with the larynx. So I'm going to have you do the same thing with the tongue root and the adenohyoid, the crying muscles. Finger under the chin and give me a hard whimper. Notice how you're working harder with your tongue. You're working harder under your chin. Right, there is a whole fan of muscles in the front that can stabilize that. Give me the kitty cat. And notice you also have some muscles in the back of the throat that flex, right? Pull your ear to your shoulder.
Do what?
And then add the external one. So it's like now from the inside out, we have these small muscles and then larger muscles. Good. Would you try with just flexing those muscles? Yeah. And now I want you to cry really hard. Much more stable. Sing your line on that cry. Right?
Подмосковные.
Right there. I think you let go of the muscles, right? So can you cry really hard on it?
Подмосковные вечера.
Would you try it just on an ooh? Try that. Good. Now let's draw your attention to how hard you're working with the stabilizing muscles, okay? I like to call these vocal spanks. They minimize things from shaking, right? Women, you understand what spanks are?
Yes.
Men think, I think they're atrocious. Okay, so anyway, but we're going to put these in place to minimize the shaking. So flex the neck, flex under the chin and nothing else. And you're really using this to stabilize that shake. Ooh, go as straight as you can. And now, how do you cry?
Say it
Like the
again.
kitty cat? How hard are you crying? Can you put an effort number on the kitty cat?
I'm having a hard time connecting the kitty cat sound or the kitty cat mechanism that you're talking about with the sound that I'm making.
Yeah. I don't want you to even listen to your sound. I just want you to flex the muscles. So when you go, oh,
Okay. Oh, oh.
good. Your vibrato went from being about 6 notes wide to being about a step wide. Do it again. Oh, neck and kitties. All we're doing is just saying we have to flex a little more to hold this in place, right? Makes sense. It's something that's really shaking. We go, no, stay there. And it's not bad.
Oh, 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 oh.
Right. And the kitty cat sound that we're talking about, so that was wonderful. I'm doing a workshop if you want to come January 9th called All the Good Shakes. Okay, so it's on all the strategies around vibrato. But the thyroid cartilage, when we flex this forward, there's a slight little pivot. That joint, right, will move like this because it's not connected on the back. And because of that, that's that real subtle spin that you hear. It's only about a half step to a whole step wide, and it's a very desirable vibrato. So the kitty cat, if you aim for straight and you really, really cry, you'll end up with a very, very nice vibrato. If you relax everything, the whole thing will shake, and we get a very, very wide vibrato. So, I mean, I was taught relaxation as a means of getting vibrato. It was great when I was 13. But by the time I was about 25, my vibrato was a mile wide. You know, very, very young because of that. So working at stabilizing that and just crying. And I can bring it in and out when I want. So that was so much better. So what I want you to do is just focus in on getting those sensations of stability, right? I had a choir where our average age was 75. And so we used to help one another out by putting the hand in the back of the head, right, of the row in front of you, back when we could all sing and touch one another, right? And then the back row men, they just had to go like this, okay, to kind of stabilize that and then cry. And they thought I was all crazy until they heard what it did to the sound. And the vibrato's kind of,
Okay.
yeah, and every note doesn't need a lot of vibrato, right? Right?
Okay, so crying. Put some good use to the element of crying, using the vocal apparatus to cry. I'm going to work on this. Thank you.
And focus more on the muscles, does that make sense, than on the sound. I mean, and measure the sound. Is there a wide vibrato in there? But don't go into your habit. Go into like, I'm going to flex a little bit more. Okay. And the neck is very involved in singing. We teach all this relaxation, and these larger muscles, you know, we use them all day long to hold your head up. We can use them to stabilize the vibrato as well. It's not going to create injury to the voice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice. That was beautiful. Good. Irina, do you want me to do anything else here, or do we have any questions with people, or?
Can you stay for another couple of hours?
I think there's a questions. I think in the chat there's few questions, I guess. And is anybody wants to ask the questions?
Yeah, Catherine.
Yes, I have a question. If you could, with your voiceovers, if you could give us a couple examples of voiceovers that you have done and the specific techniques you're using to create that sound.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
hear and apply what we've learned tonight?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. One of the first ones I did was singing marbles for the learning company. And so they wanted a little marbly sound. So you're like, what would marbles sound like? And I'm like, well, a marble I think would be spinny, right? So I added some vibrato and I lowered my larynx. So I did, right? And as you throw them, the marbles come out. I did the mommy voice, right? So I raised my larynx and I tilted really hard. So I did the mommy voice in Reader Rabbit Baby. And so I had this really fun voice, like, boys and girls, here we go. We're going to do some great things here. And I added a little hiss around it. So from your tummy to your toes, like those kind of songs. I did League of Legends, Nidalee. So she's a giant cougar who turns into a warrior. So that was definitely created by college men. So they wanted a really vicious kind of sound, and they wanted a very kind of sexy edge. So I dropped my larynx and I went very breathy, and things like that. Or I did a bunch of like commercials for Ultimate Electronics there in the Midwest. So I retracted very hard, and on the corner of Indiana and West Elm is where you're going to buy all of your electronics, so just a lot of playing it, but having those things at the disposal really gave the tools for doing that. So I did like one for trying to remember the ones on the radio around here, Infinity Towers in San Francisco, those big atrocious towers that were built. So I tried to sound like I was really, I'm trying to remember the lyrics of it. Somebody once opined that this would happen, not at Infinity Towers, located next to the Embarcadero. So gave a lot of lilt and then went down to that round, sort of section of the range. And then I went, so just playing with those different colors, But yeah, the kid stuff was fun. It started with inanimate objects and animals, like weird things like what would a singing squirrel do? What's the difference between a squirrel and a hamster? What would a singing hamster do? Like how can you bring those to life? So yeah.
Thank you. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. But this now is so much fun. So that's what I'm not doing that because I'd much rather spend my evenings talking about all this. So
Sure. Thank you.
I saw the question from Liz on the chat. Liz, I still have that questions about sob and the cantor singing, so you was confused.
Sob quality is the name that we give to it. I don't know what a cantor does. I worked with a cantor from Danville a few years back here. Cantors are all over the place, right? The one in Danville was singing very different than the temple that I attended in Chicago. So it can be very, very different, from person to person. But sob quality is what we do when we cry. Heavy grief. And so since it mirrors that position, that's what we call the quality.
Okay. So it's mirroring the position as opposed to any sort of emotional quality. It
could be an emotional quality,
but it's not limited to that. It's
no.
So it's named for the position,
right? We use
physical
it
position, good.
Like leader, right? Guten Tag, guten Tag. I can't remember my German, right? But
ja, du hast recht. Yeah.
You can learn all about it if you come in January. Should I tell Irina about what we're doing in January? I teach this course in its completion, all of it, twice a year. So in January, I'll be partnering with Judith Dunlore from Southern California. So it's not just me chatting all day long because it's a 40-hour course, but we divide it over 2 weekends, which is great. So we do it over Saturday, Sunday, Monday of Martin Luther King weekend, and then we do the following weekend. So the level 1, all the figures are 3 days in a row, and then we have breakout sessions, and you get to try all these different things, and spectrogram. You got to watch the videos, and then the second weekend is level 2. That's how we put the recipes of sound together. So that course literally changed my life when I took it 25 years ago, and so I'm still doing it. So we have one coming up in January. It is less expensive than I paid for it 25 years ago, by the way, since it's all online. It's crazy because we're still working like crazy, but it's $375 for all 40 hours. And then plus workbooks. And the workbooks are in digital format that you can write in, so you can download them. But I love my workbooks. It's really helpful because it's so much information that afterwards you can kind of go back and go through it. Okay, so those 2 weekends, Lauren took the course, and now she's using it like crazy. And Irina took it. It's really valuable tools, right? Even if you don't digest everything, having 10 tools is more to have in your toolkit than maybe what you've been using. So that's my unabashed plug, but come sign up if you want to do it.
You'll send us the link, or how do we find out?
Why don't I send it to Irina, and I'll send you a flyer and you can check it out. No pressure one way or another. I will love you regardless. Okay. But it's just great information. I'm so excited about what it does for people's voices. Yeah.
Great. If there are people who are listening who are not on the Slavyanka Bulletin, send an email to me at paulandrews@earthlink.net, and if you're interested, then I'll make sure to forward the link from Irina.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, I would encourage, because I'm planning to take these courses, because last time I was, as you remember, fell from the bike and I was not able to do the second level. So I'm going to do that right now in January. Hopefully I'm not bike in January. So, and yeah, I really encourage if you can organize your time. You know how I'm so busy, but it's just if organize this time and just be there. It's a lot of interesting things. Very
Yeah.
helpful. I'm encouraging you.
You can do it from the comfort of your own living room. I've flown all over the country doing this, and meeting different places and had to rent hotels. And, this is a great format to dive in and learn and meet other people. I've met some of the best people that I've, like Lauren, through this, and Irina. It's just, can't say enough wonderful things about it. So hopefully you'll consider. This might have whet your appetite. When I first met Joe Estill, I had my degree in voice already. I thought I could do everything. And so I was just trying to give her trick questions. And I'm like, how do you deal with the passaggio? And in 10 minutes time, she solved something that I couldn't fix in, hundreds of hours in the practice studio in college. And I just went, I have to have this. I have to know you. It convinced me. And, so knowledge is power.
Can you say a little bit about what the course is and what people would come away with? I hear it's, I mean, I'm looking at 2 music teachers, vocal teachers, but what about individual singers? Is it the same?
Oh, yeah.
Can you say a little bit about what the course is?
I didn't want to be a teacher back then. I wanted to be a star, so I was studying it for me with my own voice and my recording studio. And then I ended up going, voiceover with it. So yes, it gives you control of your voice. Gives you the tools to understand what's happening when that thing happens, or why is this going on? So it gives you a lot more tools to understand your voice and a lot more tools of expression, so that when you want to express yourself, you can go with your heart, what you're feeling, versus the limitations of what my voice is going to do on that vowel at that note. So that was just the empowerment. And it's not just for teaching, it's for, enjoyment.
Great.
I would like to ask Paul again, would you please give me, it's Paul Andrews.
At earthlink.net.
And is it Paul all run together, or is it Paul.Andrews, or?
I'm all run together. Yes.
You're a run together.
Yeah.
At
It is on the chat.
So,
Yeah, as I'm in the chat, find it there. Yeah.
and basically what we do, this is level 1, the first weekend. And we go through, this is the table of contents, all the different things in the voice that can maneuver, and the range of motion and the variety of options within each isolation. And it feels like this isn't going to translate into anything at first because it's so isolated and picky-uni. But then the next thing you know, level 2, the following weekend comes on, and it's like, oh, this is flour. And when we mix it with eggs, we could make pancakes. Or we could make, you know what I mean? So there's all sorts of different recipes of how we put them together. And that's when it gets just fun. Yeah, Irina.
I can't hear you, Irina. You're on mute, I think, or your microphone isn't.
I mean, just because it's already time. I just want, and I don't have a chance to raise this question because it's too late. But I just want to let to know to Slavyanka, but there is a lot of all about using and how we can sing actually Eastern European music. I mean, the folk sounds, which is traditional folk sounds. And so I don't want to start that because will be another hour, Kelly. But all the Georgian songs, gentlemen, you like to sing, this is like really specific tools we can use for this kind of music. To do that without just simply, for example, imitated my voice or imitated somebody's voice, but just really know how to do that.
Right. And the beauty of knowing the instrument, what maneuvers, is that you can apply it to all forms of music. So like I've worked with Hindustani and Carnatic singers. My brother is a Javanese gamelan wayang artist in Indonesia, or he was for years. And so you can listen to the music from different cultures and say, okay, this is the recipe. This is what good is. And then this is the physiology behind that. And you can honor that culture rather than trying to adapt it to Western European opera. Right? It can be, no, this is the culture. This is the heritage behind it. This is what the voice needs to do. So it's been exciting for me to explore all sorts of global music as well, using this.
Yeah. Yodeling, Kelly, you just do it amazingly. The yodeling. Can you show us a little bit of it?
Oh, the link? Yes. What I'm hoping to do, I have to talk with Judith because we have 2 different people doing all the signups. So I'm hoping to send you the link to my site so you can sign up via me, because I need to, since there's different teachers, right? We collect funds and then we hire people for the breakout rooms and all that kind of stuff based on all of that. So I'm responsible for my portion of this course in order to hire all the people that will work with you. So I will send you the link, Irina. But yes, it is on the Estill website. If you can hold off, if you want to sign up, just hold off. I'll send you my link as well. And it's a 2-part process. So you sign up with me and you do the payments with me, and then you sign up on the Estill website and take care of the books, and they keep track of you and let you know all sorts of new innovations and, put you on their mailing list.
And you'll send all that in an email to Irina, and then we'll pass that on to other people. Yeah.
Yes. So
great.
Yeah. And then I'll send a link to Irina. I'm doing a workshop on vibrato, just vibrato, January 5th. It's a Tuesday evening. So I'll send you that link if you're curious. That's from my own private studio. But you're welcome to come, and I do a lot of little workshops just on topics, but since that came up tonight, I'll send you the link for that as well.
There's other courses on your website that we can find?
Yes. The trouble is my website's not up. My website designer just had a baby, and so the website is down, and I'm waiting for Ryan to come back from his wife's maternity leave. Hopefully that will be up and running very soon. But yes, I will send the information to Irina, and
great.
Yeah, it's a bad time during COVID to have a website not be up, but
not to mention a bad time to be pregnant.
That's not part of my existence right now.
Really, thank you for tonight. It was
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah,
Very
Thank you
much.
so much, Kelly. I think
Yes,
we
sir.
need to unmute everybody. Just like a big applause to Kelly.
Oh,
yeah. Big applause.
Unmute.
Yay!
Very helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you, Kelly.
this
Irina,
was so much fun. Thank you for inviting me. And would you please invite me when you get back to singing to hear you in concert?
Yeah.
I would love to come.
Irina and Lauren have been singing your praises, and now we know why. So
Oh, good.
it's just
Well, let
great.
me come hear you sing sometime in concert. I would be honored if you would just let me know when COVID finally, lifts, that I could come hear you sing. So
Be great. We'll send you a CD. Maybe we could send her a CD of our Russian tour, Irina.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah. We had a Russian tour. We sang it all over Russia and did some great stuff. So it'll give you a sense of what we do.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that would be wonderful. So, well, you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very
Thank you,
much.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Paul, if you need any help about saving the recording,
Okay.
when you close this, you'll be given a choice of whether to save it to your computer or to save it in the cloud. And I think the preference is probably to your computer.
Yes, I did record it to my computer. So then,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, that should work out fine. So Kelly, there's no problem with recording this, right?
No problem.
Okay. Okay, good. 'Cause there were people who couldn't come tonight who wanted very much to be here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Good. Thanks
Good
again.
night. I will
Good
see
night.
you soon, Arena.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.